Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to bring you my month in review for February 2017. February was not a great reading month. There are several reasons for this, but it really wasn't. I read a grand total of 9 books with an average star rating of 4.3. Of those 9 books, I rated 3 of them 5 out of 5 stars. The first book that I rated 5 out of 5 stars was the 5th and final volume of Orange. Now, the other 4 volumes in the series I rated about like a 4.5. But the 5th one, the conclusion, so good, had to give it a 5. The other 2 books which I rated 5 out of 5 stars were A Gathering of Shadows and A Conjuring of Light, both by V.E. Schwab. These are the final 2 books in her Shades of Magic series, Conjuring of Light having only just come out. I had fallen behind on reading Gathering of Shadows, so because Conjuring of Light was coming out, I went and read Gathering of Shadows, followed it right up with Conjuring of Light, and just... Schwab really knows how to tell a good story with amazing characters. If you haven't checked out this adult fantasy series of hers, which involves parallel Londons, you need to check it out. So why did I only read 9 books? Well, I was extremely busy in that I've taken up some things, mainly figure skating, getting back into that, and then I've also begun to study Japanese. I'm going to be taking a vacation to Japan next year and figured since I've got over 12 months before that happens, I might as well try and learn as much of the language as I can and hopefully retain it before I go there so I don't make a total fool of myself. I'll make a bit of a fool myself, but you know, not a total fool. But the other thing, which you can probably guess, is I watched a lot of anime. I legit watched so much anime. So let's go! Ghost in the Shell Arise, Border 4. Ghost Stands Alone. I don't know if this is the last episode in the Arise kind of OVA series. It's the 4th one, I'm assuming it's the last one. And it's fine. Arise I don't totally love in terms of Ghost in the Shell. It's one of the least Ghost in the Shell-esque things that's come out in the franchise. That will change when the live action movie comes out and I'm going to just totally disown it before I've even seen it. I don't normally do this, but this is how little faith I have in that film right now. Just... Gun X Sword, or I think it's just Gun Sword. That throws me off when the X is in there. I want to say it. This I thought was going to be a bit more of a Western thing turned into a mech anime, and like it exists. There are some things that are like actually entertaining about it, but it kind of wishes it was Trigun meets Cowboy Bebop, and it's not as good as either because it just didn't understand what made either of those so good, and it's really stupid at times. And there's some things that are just, yeah, not so great. So it exists. Free Life. I did a review for this. I really quite enjoyed it. It is predominantly a very funny slice of life anime. I mean, it'll make you laugh, but it does take some moments every now and then to talk about some serious topics. The big one I loved in terms of I was impressed with how they brought this up and how they dealt with it is that of basically sexist workplace harassment, and often its ties to high school bullying and such. Very fun. Had a good time watching it. Say I Love You. This was like a romantic slice of life thing. I don't know why I watched it. It was fine. I mean, every now and then, I guess you just need something really harmless and fluffy. Yep. Orange. I also did a review for this one quite recently. This was a very emotional slice of life anime which deals with a group of friends trying to prevent their friend from committing suicide. And it was emotionally harrowing, but really quite phenomenal. Joker Game. This was a World War II spy series, except it's much more think Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's really slow. I couldn't keep track of basically anybody who was introduced in the first episode. So while I think it's a really good idea, and I certainly didn't dislike it, I'm not entirely sure I loved it. I don't know. Give this one a watch and see what you think. I'm still kind of left unsure of my final verdict. Steins Gate and its accompanying kind of OVA epilogue. This show was fantastic. This is a time travel show which starts out really funny and then at one point basically flips the switch and gets freaking harrowing, and I loved everything about it. This is also one of those, I say, watching either Japanese or English, both are really strong, but there is one scene you have to go watch in both languages just to get a laugh. It's a scene that for me showcases both how very difficult and how very clever dubs and translations can and have to be sometimes, because it involves miscommunication with another character where the joke doesn't work if you just straight translate it out of Japanese. You have to adapt it because it involves language. Whatever the case, this was a fantastic show and I loved it. Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate, did a review of those. Love Alucard and just the Hellsing verse, and just yes, that is how I like my vampires. Followed that up with another adaptation that's based on material from that same author entitled Drifters. This show was freaking so much fun. Basic premise of this show, various historical figures are kind of in a way beamed into a different dimension on the verge of their death, essentially. And you have some who basically end up in a good guy camp, guys we root for basically, and some who end up in basically the bad guy camp. And the crazy thing is that all the bad guys are these historical figures who died these particularly violent deaths at the hands of like other people, and so it's made them basically hate humanity, and they often have some sort of supernatural power to go with it. So like Joan of Arc, she is like psychotic and really hates humans and wants to burn them all to death, probably because she was burned at the stake. Anastasia has like ice powers. Rasputin can do like mind control. And their leader is this character called the Black King. And he's totally mysterious. We don't know who he is. I mean, as far as I know, even in the manga, which only has like 4 issues out right now, I think, something like that, don't know who the Black King is. I have a theory. I'm not going to say who I think the Black King is, because I think it spoils the fun. I think you should go watch this show, form a theory of who you think the Black King is, leave it in the comments if you have a theory. See if your theory lines up with mine. If it lines up, we can totally just like go nuts on why we think it's this person. But this show is just so much fun. Oh god, it is a riotous, bloody good time. I watched Gungrave, and I actually paused Gungrave in the middle of it because I was sort of just watching it straight through. I got to about episode 13, ended, and I went, I need to stop this series because I was getting very frustrated by some things and the pacing is very slow. So here's the thing about Gungrave. I didn't know this at the time. I found out later. I think it's based on a video game, which explains a lot because there are like basically 3 different like boss battles that take up 3 episodes to lead to the final battle, and it's sort of just like, these are redundant. I don't need them. And my issue with Gungrave is that the idea is a character comes back from the dead. His name is Beyond the Grave. It's bad. My issue with Gungrave is that there's a kind of monster, supernatural science fiction element to it that feels really shoehorned in, because I'd say about 85% of this is basically a mob story, and it's great. That stuff is actually really good. There's admittedly some stuff I find problematic in how the female character's treated, and the fact that Brandon Heat is a dumbass. But that stuff is really good. That's done well. But then, like, they have to start trying to shoehorn in the science fiction monster stuff, and it, for me, is just like this tonal schism. And it just doesn't work, and it was the stuff I liked least about the whole thing. And the sad part is, you don't really have the plot without it. If there had been a way to divorce the science fiction from everything else, I think I could have really enjoyed the show a lot more. But I just look at it and go, there are parts that are really good, but there's ultimately a lot that I really just was like, please no. Can we not? Can we not? I will say it has, I think, one of the better final episodes I've ever seen. There were certain things that were done and how that played out that I was like so on board for. I continued watching, or am still also watching because it's not done yet, Yowamushi Pedal New Generation, as well as All Out, the 2 sports animes that I started in January because they began airing and they are still airing, so they're not done yet. I also started Aka, which is, you know, I went in thinking this would be Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and so far I've got a guy who likes to smoke a lot and cakes. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I cannot properly explain Aka to you. You just need to go watch Aka if you're at all interested, but it's supposed to be kind of maybe political spy thriller. We're not entirely sure. It's really slow, really quiet, and just kind of off the wall at times. That's really all I can say about Aka. And that's all the anime that I watched in February. Not even, again, really properly counting the rewatch of Trigun plus Badlands Rumble, Cowboy Bebop. Like, so much anime. But that's it for me today, you guys, so until next time, cheers.